Thank you for checking out New Dice. I very much appreciate your time. Thanks for checking out the channel. Today, I want to talk about Daggerheart because everyone's talking about Daggerheart, but I ran Daggerheart. I am a brand new GM, brand new. And I'm new to Daggerheart, obviously. I'm new to GMing. And so those two things mixed, can you do it? People who are thinking about GMing, can you do it? We're going to hit you with some reality coming up a little later on in the podcast. If you want to go right there, I'm going to talk a little Daggerheart, just some more my thoughts on the game and where I'm hoping it goes. We're going to kick the podcast off with that, kind of ease into it. And then we're going to talk about Daggerheart GMing and how that can be you or not be you. If you want to know exactly when that's going to happen, you can look at the timestamps below in the description and just jump right ahead to talking about the GMing. Totally cool. Highly recommended. But I just wanted to get some Daggerheart thoughts out there because I'm excited about what's happening right now in the RPG world. Very excited. I just before we get into this, I just want to say I am not a D&D hater. I know a lot of people out there, I don't have it readily available. A lot of people out there are just loving talking trash about D&D. So many, it's unfortunate too. So many YouTube accounts that I loved watching that covered news and did like D&D stuff, they have just turned into let's dunk on D&D. Let's just crap on them. This is the fun, cool thing to do. Very strange to me. Very strange to me. Boy, am I already choking with my words? Very strange to me. In a community that a long time ago, one of the big things was inclusivity and let's not bully, right? That's kind of one of the things. You look back, if you are, especially my age, and you look back to being into nerd culture back in the day, it was not the most popular thing, and it was easy to be in that world of liking Dungeons and Dragons and liking nerd stuff, and you'd get bullied, and it sucked. And it was like frowned upon. It was sad. It was a bummer. And now the nerd culture is kind of getting popular. And so now we're just bullies. Now we're the bullies from the 90s who are like, well, we're going to bully inside of the club now. It's really weird. So anyways, this is not going to be where you are going to find D&D hatred. I really like the game. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played in my life. So I'm cheering for its success. You can turn off the channel now if you hate that, but I'm cheering for it to succeed. I think that this hobby that I love is better off if D&D is succeeding. It's an entry point for a lot of people, and then they can find their way to other games like Daggerheart and other exciting games that I'm very ready to play and willing to play that might even be games I like more than D&D eventually. But I think D&D is important still for the hobby. You're not going to find me talking trash about it, but I love competition. I love it so much. So right now, what Daggerheart is bringing to the community, I think, is so good because if there was some complacency in D&D, if they were kind of settling into a routine of just, we're not doing this right, we're not doing it how the community wants us to be doing it, I think games like Daggerheart kind of fire things up. Dan Ayub, the new guy in charge of D&D, I think he's going to feel it, and he's going to know there's other games that people are playing, and for people to keep their eyes on D&D, he's going to have to get creative with it. He's going to have to bring people in. He's going to have to make it more comfortable and accommodating to the community, which is really good. And that's what competition can bring to the table. So I was looking at Daggerheart and I'm like, okay, I'm excited for this game. I want it to just rise up, skyrocket in popularity. When people think of TTRPGs, I want it not just to be D&D. I want Daggerheart to be in there as well. And of course, some other games as well. You know, right now, I think people will say they would see, they would see Daggerheart. They'd see Daggerheart and they would be like, oh, is that a D&D game? It's like Kleenex. Kleenex is tissue paper, but we all say Kleenex. That brand has just taken over. So a lot of people refer to the RPG world and the tabletop world, where Daggerheart exists. That's just D&D to them. That's kind of what it is. So what can Daggerheart do right now? Because they can strike while this iron is hot. And they are a big deal right now. They are the hotness. I just have some thoughts that I think this is a fun thing to talk about. What can they do? What would you want to do if you were suddenly marketing Daggerheart and you had the opportunity to get it out there and throw it in front of people and make this thing skyrocket? What would you do? So I bring that question up and feel free in the comments. What would you do? What would be some of the moves you would take over the next couple of months to really take this world by the throat and really use it to get yourself up into a position near the top. So here's what I think. Number one, this right here, and there's nothing they can do, I think, about this right now, but this needs to be in stores. The fact that this book has been sold out, I think they said at Gen Con that 2 times the game has sold out worldwide. That's crazy. 2 times the game is sold out worldwide. You can't find this game right now. I don't think there's anything they can do about that, right? There's only so much they can manufacture and sell. I think it speaks really well for the product that they're selling out so much. But if this is going to be, I guess, a D&D killer, or it's going to be a just standard game in people's collections of TTRPGs, it has to be made readily available so that when someone is, and I'm going to give them a shout out here in a second, but if someone is watching I'm trying to think who are some of the people that, let's say they're watching the Critical Role folks do an Age of Umbra, and they really like what they see. They're like, I want to play that game. They have to be able to go to their store and get it. I also think that in store, Daggerheart would need to do a really good job of making sure they are well displayed. Whether that's sending game stores, cardboard standees, little things that you can insert in your book in their shelves that have like Daggerheart mini cardboard stands that aren't the huge ones that you put in the store, but something that solidifies, we want you to have in your store a bookshelf that is Daggerheart, and it has our book in it and hopefully some more books in it. But it's got little things on that shelf that make it the Daggerheart shelf. So when people are looking through RPGs, this one isn't just a book that sits sideways like this with awesome games like Shadow Dark, DCC, Old School Essentials, all right next to it. You want this to have its own shelf. And that's going to be important for them to grow into what they need to be. They don't want to just be a one of many. You go into a game store, D&D has shelves. Of course, they've got hundreds of books, but they take over a section. And then you've got your other TTRPGs. Daggerheart's going to need to get to that point. They need to get books in stores. I think it's going to be super important if I was Daggerheart, right? If I'm in charge of marketing. You need one of these. You need one of these. This is the 4th edition starter set for D&D. It's one of the very first D&D things I ever bought. This D&D red box starter set for 4th edition. I never played it, but I looked through it a million times, wishing I could convince my friends to play Dungeons and Dragons with me. A starter set is so important. This is, I've been following the fact that, D&D is coming out with their 2024 starter set. They also have the Stranger Things one. It's very interesting to me how people are just, at least a lot of the big stuff that I saw was people ripping on it. I know it's $50. That's expensive. People just knocking it. I don't know why that is. I guess you knock it if you don't want people in the hobby. If you want to gatekeep and not let people in, you would hate the starter set. But these things are so valuable. I know they're not the full rule book, but that's so important for new players. This book right here it's thick. It's got a lot in it. And to be able to provide Joe Schmo, who again saw Critical Role, they thought this is a cool game. Oh man, this is a big undertaking, the core rule book. But what's this? A starter set? And it's broken down a little easier and it's more consumable. I think that Daggerheart really needs a starter set if they want to get to that level. If they don't want to get to that level and they're cool being here, I mean, that's fine. But if they want to get to that next level, you need a starter set and you need to make it so that just your board game people can see it and be like, I can make that transition. This looks more board gamey, which is funny because that's what the D&D one is. They are obviously doing the right thing, which is appeal to board game players who are they're trying to suck into. Look at this is board game adjacent. Come on, get in here. Once we get our hooks in you with what looks like a board game, you're in. And now we've got you in this world. And you're going to have your board games, but they're going to be put to the side because this is fun. This is maximum creative. These dice tell stories that are way better than the stories in a game like Risk, which I love. One other thing I would say for Daggerheart, well, I think I've got two more things I'd say for Daggerheart, and then we'll get into me GMing. I don't know how this works, but if you go to your local game store, Magic the Gathering is the king. It's the king. Magic has got it made because you will not find a local game store that does not have some kind of whiteboard or calendar of some sort that lays out what days, what nights Magic the Gathering is having their meetups. And it's all the time. Star Wars Unlimited is there, another card game. These card games do such a great job of getting into stores and getting games to happen, making games happen. And so, if you're a Magic player, you can always meet somebody to play a game with because they're happening in stores all the time. I know you can go to stores, and this is how I got into my D&D group, and they have D&D nights, and they will have, groups will meet and play their games at a game store. Shout out to Merlin's in Spokane. They do Adventurers League on Sunday, which is how I finally got into the hobby. They post on their, I think at the time, a long time ago when I saw it was on their Facebook or something, and now it's on Discord or whatever. But on Sundays, you can go in at noon. They're going to open up a bunch of tables, and you can play Dungeons & Dragons. I think it would be really cool if Darrington Press and the people of Daggerheart, again, if they want to just skyrocket, not saying they want to, but if they want to, make this just a commitment that they plan on doing forever and really just being a Daggerheart company only, I think it'd be really cool if they were able to get into local game stores and say, we want to incentivize you to have one of your days be Daggerheart Day. Incentivize with things like, dice for DMs. Something that easy. If someone's going to come be a GM, give them a couple D12s. Throw them some cardboard minis. Little free trinkets that you can give people for showing up, playing this game. Give the game store that's buying this book and selling it, give them little 8x11 sheets of, here's the rules. I think they have one. Do they have one in the back of this book? What am I thinking of? Maybe they don't have one in this book. I thought there was something where there's just like a player handout. A lot of games have like just a player handout sheet that goes over basic rules. And I think that would be a really cool thing to be able to provide stores so they're not printing them up and just say, look, we want you to have these to give out to players, put them at the table, and make it very welcoming to play this game out and about. Throw a one shot out there. Give these game stores a one shot. Make them accessible. Be like, look, if you can find a GM, here's this week's one shot. Here's the scenario. They can run it at your store. Make it on Sunday. Make it on Saturday. I think that'd be a really cool thing. The last thing is, and we've talked too long about this, accessories. I think accessories are important. I think that is a cool thing in a store to have to make you want to get a game. If not only the book is there, but you have fear trackers. You have, of course, they've got dice. They're doing a great job with specific dice. I think those are really important to have. Just any kind of accessory that makes the game look a little bigger than it is, than just the book, I think helps grow the game. So we went too long on that, but I'm excited about Daggerheart. I really hope they strike while this iron is hot and they just push through and they challenge D&D for getting to that top spot. Be cool. Can you run Daggerheart? Can you run it? I'm a brand new GM. My resume for GMing is this big. I've run an 8-episode campaign for my brother. It's my brother. It was me and him. Each session was 2 hours. We did about 8 or 9 of them. I did from the starter set for D&D 5th edition. What is it? The Phandelver, Lost Minds of Phandelver. We went through that. It was really fun. Really, really fun. But that was with my brother, so there was no pressure for me at all to GM. I know him extremely well. Anytime there was issues, I could just say, Travis, I don't know what I'm doing. And it was fine, and we could just stop. So I count it, but I don't count it all the way. And it wasn't great. I've also I ran one game for a couple friends, and it was all right, but I didn't really know what I was doing there either. And that was about the extent of my DMing. So why did I do this? I don't know. I wanted to play Daggerheart. I wanted to. And so I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm a big believer in drop-in games. I'm going to go to the Discord and just say, hey, it's Friday. I had a free night. Does anyone want to come play Daggerheart if I ran a one-shot? And I just posted it. on Friday morning out of nowhere. And sure enough, 3 people were like, we're in. And I kind of panicked because I didn't really expect anyone to say it. And I then realized, oh, this is happening. I have to do this. I don't know the whole book well enough. I haven't read the whole thing. I've read bits and pieces. I've seen it played. I understand basic concepts of it. I also have 3 kids who are little and require my attention the whole day. And I thought, I'm not going to have any free time today to really plan anything. What have I done? What have I done? This game is at 9 o'clock. I'm going to have 1 hour from when my last kid goes to sleep and the game starts to be ready. What has happened here? But I ran it. And I did it. We ran a 2.5 hour one shot. And I don't know if it was great. I actually know it wasn't great. But here would be my stuff for you. New GMs. Here is my thing. I'm glad I did it. I stepped out. I got out of my comfort zone and I did it. Did it go smoothly? Absolutely not. It did not. In fact, to start the game out, I didn't know these people. They're random people off the Daggerheart Discord. I said hello. The first guy who came on has DM'd it a lot. That was terrifying because he knows all the rules. The gal who was on, the next voice I heard, she also has GM'd a ton. So I've got 2 people who have played a lot and have GM'd a lot and know what they're doing, and they don't realize they've just stepped into a game with someone who knows nothing. And then the third person was new, like me, so that was great. I wish I had just slowed down. I didn't. That would be my first tip. Slow down. Slow down. Take breaths. Take moments. Think about things. Let it breathe. It's not how I want my games to be eventually. I want it to be bang, bang, bang. I don't want there to be dead air, but I am new. Slow down. Which you can tell I talk fast in here. I'm not a slow down kind of person. I didn't slow down when we started. The game started. I realized I didn't know what I was doing. I started sweating so hard in this seat. I had a ring of sweat right here on my shirt. I was sweating profusely. I was so nervous about what I was doing. Keep it simple is my next tip for you. Keep it simple. You've probably watched a lot of videos and you've got all these concepts in your head that are going to be great eventually. And you want to do this, you want to do this, you want to pay attention to this. Oh, all these things. When you're doing your first game, keep it simple because your brain isn't in this mode of totally understanding how to ride this bike yet. And so throwing extra stuff into what's something that's already complicated, it was very difficult. So keep it simple. Cheer for the players. Cheer for the players. When I finally just was like cheering for the players, I could feel momentum building in the game. The characters wanted to do specific things. And I was like, yes. And when they succeeded at it and it worked and it was fun, I felt like they got more into what was happening. And then they started to drive a little bit, which was important because driving when you're uncomfortable is not great. Having someone drive with you, which is what the players did once they felt comfortable with their creativity we were excited about their creativity. That let them feel more free to be creative and they were able to drive the game. It actually saved me at one point because in my game, which I did not plan out very well. I had this idea. These 2 people got kidnapped. Let's go find the 2 people. They're going to be kidnapped by bandits. These bandits have a lair outside of a town that is going to be a bandit hub. This village that is a hub for bad guys to go to and do bad guy things and then disperse back to their camps. And so I wanted them to go to this town, learn where these bandits were that kidnapped these people, go to their lair and rescue these 2 people in this lair. That is not what happened because I didn't know how to get there. We went to this little town and I realized I don't know what this town is. I hadn't fleshed it out well enough, which is a tip. If you're going to have little places, think about what they're going to be. Don't make them so perfect, but at least have some concept of what they are. And I ended up leading them instead of from this town to their lair. I led them to like what I thought would be a storefront for the bandits. I don't know what I was thinking. And then this would lead them to the camp. Well, what ended up happening is I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get them to the camp. I had this storefront with a shed behind it, which is where all their goods were. And this gal who was playing said, I'm going to turn into a mouse. I'm going to go into the shed. I want to see if there is a trap door there that maybe they're keeping these prisoners underneath the shed. And I was like, they are keeping the people there. But this whole lair that I had as a cave is now just going to be underground. And that's just going to be what it is. And I was able to bring that in, and it worked great. Thanks to me rewarding creativity at the table. Okay. Cheer for your players. I would recommend, I'm a big 3x5 card person, big index card person. One thing I would maybe recommend doing, because I didn't know how the adversaries work in Daggerheart, I would think of places there that you might be, and I'm not saying have everything be combat, but combat's going to happen. People want to fight. If you know some areas that they're going to be, the forest, the woods, the forest, they're going to be in this town, they're going to be in this lair, maybe they're going to be in a field somewhere. Go ahead and write down in your prep some areas that these people could go to, and make some encounters beforehand that you can just write down on some 3x5 cards instead of trying to put together an encounter on the fly with adversaries. I don't think I would have been able to do that, and I proved that I couldn't. So if I would have just had, hey, here's some adversaries, some potential encounters, and put them on 3x5 cards that I could grab at any moment, be like, okay, where are they right now? They're in the woods. They need an encounter. Well, here's a combat encounter, and here's like a discovery. Oh, they find a fountain, and what's going on there, and there's someone by the fountain. And so you have them so you can pick them up and have them physically in front of you. I highly recommend that. I think that's a good idea to do. In battle, I guess this is a Daggerheart thing. I want to save that. I guess those would just be some basic GM tips for you after my first experience way in over my head. In Daggerheart, I think you need to remember there's no initiative. I found it to be very, very fun with no initiative. I didn't know what I would think of it. It was awesome to run this game without initiative. But one thing to remember as the DM, where you're trying to make sure your players are taken care of, remember you can use fear at any moment to get the spotlight back to your enemies, and you need to do that more often than you think so that the fight stays difficult. I found my characters rolling pretty well, succeeding with hope, which keeps them in the spotlight, and I found them getting a lot of turns, and they decimated what I thought was going to be a really hard battle at the end. They cleared out. It did take like 40 minutes, but they never were they were never threatened. And I think they took 3 HP total damage because of using armor to negate damage, and my guys just not being great enemies. Plus, they just kept succeeding, and I didn't interrupt them and start taking my turns. Know the adversary stat blocks as well. If you make some 3x card enemies, the stat blocks in here for some of the enemies have a lot of special moves in them that I was not aware of. And because I was not aware of them, I didn't want to stop the game and say, hold on, I need to read the entire stat block for the bandits that I didn't read about earlier. I was just attacking with their swords. And it's like, I know they can do more than this. And I hadn't prepared that. Know the stat blocks for your enemies. All right. I mean, we've been going long enough. I want these things to be right around 20 minutes. So there's more thoughts. I'll give you one last one that I think is for all GMs, and it was my most embarrassing moment running this game for 3 people who will never play with me again unless I'm a player, maybe. I wish I could get comment cards so that they could say, here is where you really stunk, so I could get better. Pay attention. Pay attention. I was desperately trying to pay attention because these people are helping me tell this story, and I want to know what they're doing. I want to make sure that, if they want to go somewhere, I understand what they're trying to do. And there was a point where I realized I don't know what's going to happen next. I haven't fleshed out this city well enough, or this little town well enough. And one of my players was trying to present themselves as somewhat of a they're good guys. They're trying to sell themselves off as bad guys. He opened his trench coat and had a bunch of daggers on him, like bloody daggers, because he was a rogue that had a bunch of daggers. He's like, here's my daggers. I'm willing to sell these illegal daggers or whatever. And he said, when he was talking, he's like, it looks like when like someone's selling watches in the cartoons, they open their trench coat and they have watches. And I was not paying attention, and I thought he was actually trying to sell a watch. And so I was like, the guy grabs the watch, and he's like, I don't want a watch. And then the player was very nice and said, I didn't say watch. I said daggers. You weren't listening. You were off in La La Land. So pay attention. All right. Thanks for checking out New Dice. What tips do you have if you are a new Daggerheart GM, if you've run it, what are some tips that you have for people? Leave them in the comments below. Thanks for checking out New Dice. I appreciate it.